this a lot of times in many podcasts, but I say that again. No exceptional person ever lived like an average person. Most of you are too soft to win. You want success, but you refuse to suffer for it. You want wealth, but you refuse to bleed for it. You want to dominate, but the second things get hard, you fold. That's why you lose. The world isn't built for the weak. It rewards the ruthless, the disciplined, the ones who can endure pain while everyone else quits. You can either sacrifice now or be a slave forever. Your choice. Listen, there is no joy without pain. You see the mansions, the supercars, the respect, and you want it, but you refuse to give up the things that are keeping you weak. That's the problem. That's why you're losing. And unless you wake up, unless you make the decision to suffer for your future instead of suffering from regret, you will never escape this miserable loop of failure. But here's the truth that nobody wants to tell you. It doesn't have to be this way. You can change. You can rewrite your destiny starting today. You don't have to stay stuck. But the price of freedom is sacrifice. And most of you are unwilling to pay. You say you want to be rich, but you waste time watching TV, scrolling social media, chasing temporary pleasure. You say you want to be strong, but the gym is too hard, so you stay weak. You say you want respect, but you refuse to earn it. Everything you want is right in front of you, but it demands something in return. It demands your time, your energy, your discipline. It demands that you let go of the life that's keeping you broke, that you sacrifice your comfort to build something greater. And most of you won't do it. You'll choose the easy way out, the path of least resistance. And when you wake up years from now, broke, alone, full of regret, you'll realize the truth. You were your own worst enemy all along. But the strong ones, the real ones, they understand something different. They know that pain is temporary, but power is forever. They know that every moment of sacrifice, every late night, every early morning, every time they push through exhaustion, it all adds up. It builds them into something unstoppable. They don't look for the easy way. They embrace the hard way because they know the hard way is where champions are made. They know that while the weak are wasting their lives on distractions, the disciplined are building empires. They see the bigger picture. They see that every moment of suffering today is an investment in domination tomorrow. That's why they succeed. That's why they rise while others fall. That's why they become legends. You have a choice. Right now in this moment, you can decide to change. You can decide that you will no longer be controlled by laziness, by fear, by the illusion of comfort. You can decide to step into the fire, to embrace the grind, to sacrifice everything that is holding you back, and finally become the person you were meant to be. Because let me tell you something, if you don't make that choice, someone else will. Someone out there right now is putting in the work while you hesitate. Someone else is outworking you, outsmarting you, outdisciplining you. And in the future, when they're at the top, when they're living the life you always dreamed of, you'll realize that it could have been you, but you were too weak to claim it. Or you can be the one who steps up. You can be the one who sacrifices today so you can dominate tomorrow. You can be the one who looks back in 10 years and says, I did it. I built my empire. I earned my freedom. I became the man I was destined to be. But you won't get there by accident. You won't stumble into success. You have to fight for it. You have to give up everything that is making you weak. You have to endure day after day until you are too powerful to be stopped. The pain is temporary, the struggle is temporary, but the rewards, they last forever. The suffering you endure now will become your greatest weapon, your greatest advantage. While others break under pressure, you will rise. While others beg for shortcuts, you will keep pushing forward. While others waste their lives, you will be forging your legacy. There are two kinds of people in this world, those who sacrifice today to dominate tomorrow, and those who avoid sacrifice and suffer forever. Which one are you going to be? Let me tell you something about life. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're broke, if you're struggling. It doesn't care if you had a bad childhood, if people doubted you, if you feel like the world is against you. Life doesn't slow down for you. It keeps moving. And the only people who survive, the only people who rise to the top are the ones who decide to fight back. I know because I've been there. I've stood at the bottom looking up with nothing in my pocket and no one to call for help. I felt that pressure, that pain, that overwhelming feeling that maybe I wasn't enough. But do you know what I did? I sacrificed, I threw away every weakness, every excuse, every habit that was holding me back. And I committed myself to one thing, winning at all costs. Because that's the difference between winners and losers. Losers hold on to their old lives, their old habits, their old comforts. Winners burn the bridge behind them so they can never go back. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to give up who you are today to become who you need to be tomorrow, you will never make it. You will stay exactly where you are, watching other people succeed, watching them take the life that could have been yours, all because you were too weak to make the necessary sacrifices. I know a man, hardworking guy, sharp mind, potential through the roof. He wanted success. He wanted to be rich. He wanted to be respected. But do you know what he wasn't willing to do? Give up his old life. He still partied every weekend. He still slept in when he felt too tired. He still spent hours on his phone scrolling through nonsense, wasting his days. And every time he looked at me, he'd ask, hey, why am I not making it? And I told him the truth, because you're not willing to pay the price. You can't be a king and a peasant at the same time. You can't chase success while holding on to the habits of a failure. And so year after year, he stayed the same, never rising, never escaping. And when he saw me pull up in a brand new supercar, when he saw the lifestyle I built, the power, the freedom, the respect, I could see it in his eyes. He finally understood. He saw that the gap between us wasn't luck, it was sacrifice. You need to ask yourself something right now. What are you willing to give up? Because success isn't free. It demands something in return. And if you refuse to let go of your comforts, if you refuse to let go of your distractions, your vices, your laziness, you are choosing failure. You are choosing to stay in the same position year after year, watching as other men rise while you remain in the shadows. And don't sit there and tell me it's too hard. Of course it's hard. That's the point. That's the test. Life is watching you right now, and it's asking, how bad do you really want it? Because if you only want it when it's easy, you don't want it enough. There was a time when I had nothing, no money, no connections, no advantages. I had to fight for every inch of progress. And while most people around me were complaining, making excuses, waiting for some miracle to save them, I embraced the struggle. I looked at my situation and said, good, let's see how much I can take. Every long night, every rejection, every setback, I used it as fuel. I sacrificed everything that didn't serve my mission. While they were out drinking, I was working. While they were sleeping in, I was up before the sun. While they were making excuses, I was building my empire. And little by little, the world started to change for me. Doors opened, opportunities appeared. And one day I looked around and realized I had won. That is the reality of life. The men at the top are not there by accident. They are not there because they got lucky. They are there because at some point they made the decision to sacrifice today so they could dominate tomorrow. They were willing to endure the pain, the loneliness, the struggle, because they knew what was coming. And you are sitting on the same crossroads right now. You can either give up what's holding you back and transform yourself into a machine, a relentless force that cannot be stopped, or you can keep making the same mistakes, keep choosing comfort, keep telling yourself one day until you wake up at 40 and realize you wasted your life. But let me tell you something. The moment you commit, everything changes. When you wake up and say, I don't care how hard it gets. I don't care what I have to lose. I don't care what I have to endure. I am going to win. That's the moment your life begins. That's the moment the world starts working for you instead of against you. That's the moment people start noticing you, respecting you, following you. Because when a man is willing to sacrifice everything for his mission, he becomes unstoppable. He becomes dangerous. He becomes a force that cannot be ignored. So I'll ask you one last time. What are you willing to sacrifice? Your time? Your comfort? Your bad habits? Your distractions? Or will you keep holding on to them knowing they are the chains keeping you weak? You cannot have both. You must choose. Sacrifice today, dominate tomorrow. Or refuse to sacrifice and be dominated for the rest of your life. Most of you don't realize how fast time is slipping through your fingers. You think you have years ahead of you to start working, to start grinding, to start chasing your dreams. You tell yourself, I'll do it next year, or I'll start when I feel ready. But let me tell you the cold, brutal truth. You don't have time. The years will pass before you even realize it. One day you'll wake up and 5 years will be gone. 10 years will vanish. And if you keep waiting, if you keep hesitating, you will find yourself at the end of your life filled with regret, drowning in the realization that you wasted every single opportunity you ever had. Think about that for a second. Imagine being 40, 50, even 60 years old, looking back on your life and knowing that you could have been rich, powerful, successful, respected. But you threw it all away because you were too weak to sacrifice the things that were holding you back. Can you live with that? Can you live with knowing that you had the potential to be someone great, someone unstoppable, someone who changed the world, but instead you settled for mediocrity? Because that's what happens when you refuse to make sacrifices. That's what happens when you choose comfort over growth. You don't see it now because you're distracted. You waste hours scrolling through nonsense, watching other people live their dreams while you sit there doing nothing. You waste your energy chasing meaningless pleasures, video games, Netflix, junk food, alcohol, things that give you temporary satisfaction but steal your future from you. And the worst part, you know it. Deep down, you feel it. Every night before you sleep, there's a voice in your head screaming at you, telling you that you're wasting your life. You ignore it. You pretend it's not there, but it is. And it's going to keep haunting you until you finally wake up and take control. But here's the truth. It's not too late. You can change. You can rewrite your story. You can decide right now that you will no longer be weak, no longer be a victim of your own laziness, no longer allow yourself to fall into the same trap of comfort and procrastination that ruins so many lives. You can decide that starting today, you will sacrifice everything that is keeping you from success. And if you do that, if you commit, if you refuse to quit, you will look back one day and realize that every struggle, every moment of hardship, every sacrifice you made, it was worth it. Because do you know what happens when you sacrifice today, you win tomorrow? The men you see at the top, the men you admire, the ones who have the money, the power, the freedom, they didn't get there by accident. They got there because when everyone else was being weak, when everyone else was making excuses, they were putting in the work. They were sacrificing their time, their energy, their comfort, because they knew the pain of discipline is temporary. But the pain of regret lasts forever. And that's the choice you have to make. Imagine where you could be in 1 year if you stopped wasting time. Imagine where you could be in 5 years if you sacrificed every single useless habit that is keeping you weak. Imagine the life you could build, the respect you could command, the freedom you could have if you just stopped being like everyone else and started acting like the man you were meant to be. Every hour you waste, someone else is using it to get ahead. Every day you delay, someone else is working, grinding, building their empire while you sit there doing nothing. And one day you will wake up and see them living the life you always wanted, and it will be too late. The only way to avoid that fate is to act now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. The pain of sacrifice is nothing compared to the pain of being a noble. The struggle of discipline is nothing compared to the struggle of living a meaningless life. And if you don't make the decision today to change, to commit, to sacrifice whatever is necessary to become the man you were meant to be, then you are sealing your fate as just another average, weak, forgotten individual who never did anything with his life. You don't want that. I know you don't. So stop lying to yourself. Stop making excuses. Look in the mirror and decide, will I sacrifice today so I can dominate tomorrow? Or will I keep living like a loser, watching my life pass me by until I have nothing left but regret? The choice is yours, but remember this, nobody is coming to save you. If you don't do it, nobody else will. The world will not wait for you. Time will not slow down for you. So, either you wake up now and make the sacrifices necessary to change your life, or you will spend the rest of your existence watching other men succeed while you sit there wondering why it wasn't you. So what's it going to be? Sacrifice today and build the future you deserve, or waste another year making excuses until you're too far gone to fix it. The time is now. Choose wisely. There are two types of men in this world, those who sacrifice and those who settle. One fights through the pain, embraces the struggle, and builds a future where he calls the shots. The other wastes years chasing comfort, only to wake up one day realizing he lost everything. His time, his potential, his chance at greatness. Right now, in this very moment, you have a choice. You can keep lying to yourself, keep making excuses, keep pretending you have time, or you can step up, embrace the grind, and make the sacrifices that separate the weak from the elite. Because the truth is, your future is being decided today. Every action you take, every hour you invest, every sacrifice you make, it all adds up. Stay disciplined, stay relentless, and one day you will look back and realize that every ounce of effort, every moment of struggle was worth it. Sacrifice today, dominate tomorrow.